Welcome to my OWL podcast, where movement becomes medicine. Join us for insightful conversation, where expert advice and inspiring stories that explore the incredible power of movement in the world of medicine. Whether you're a physical enthusiast, a healthcare professional, or simply curious about the fascinating connection between movement and healing, you might find this interesting. So grab the multimedia device of your preference and get ready to stretch your mind, and let's dive into the world of movement-based medicine together. Well, today I'm here with Ahmed. Ahmed, he's a great guy. I've met him. We've known each other for for a few years right now. Great guy. But I'm going to have him speak a little bit more about himself. But just a quick little intro. Fascinating individual. Very interesting. Very intense. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Okay. All right. But his understanding of himself and the goals he's trying to achieve, and how he wants to go about doing that. I think there's a lot that individuals in general at large would be able to learn from and growing from. And I've learned a lot from him as well in terms of approach and intensity to specific goals and things of that nature. So without further ado, Ahmed, I'm glad to have you out here with me today.
Thanks for having me.
Sure, no problem, no problem. So, Mr. Ahmed, so just to kind of let you guys know, he's a triathlon. He's a triathlete. Huge into health and wellness, mind and body, and just a very intelligent individual overall. So, let's just start off. Well, Ahmed, tell me what's going on today. How's your day going so far? Let me start with that.
Good.
Okay.
I feeling a little bit under the weather.
Okay.
So I think it's pretty ironic to be talking about a health podcast and feeling that way.
Well, the ironic thing about that is, when it comes to health, it's a balance. So we're gonna ebb and flow. One day we're gonna be on cloud 10. We're gonna feel like Superman. We're gonna feel like elite and untouchable. And there are gonna be times where we're gonna be in the opposite. So I think being able to manage those things, and even the greatest athlete. Remember, Michael Jordan won the championship. He scored 50 on his on the flu day. So once we get our mind in the right position, and then we also have the right things around us to help us get into that position, I think that's great. I think that's perfection. I think that the act of trying to maintain the balance is the perfection itself, even though perfection is not really attainable.
Yeah.
So, Ahmed, tell me about your journey and how you started with what got you started into the triathlons.
Okay, so it's actually one of your brethren. This guy, older guy, he was probably like 57 or so, 58, and he basically said he was going to beat me in a 5K.
So he started talking trash.
He started talking trash. I'm highly competitive.
Okay.
I think at that time I was really just working out a lot into calisthenics, body weight exercises, played soccer, wasn't doing any long distance or endurance races, but definitely knew I could run 3 miles at that point. So I ended up entering into the 5K specifically with him in mind. And I ended up winning my age group. It wasn't like extremely fast time or anything like that. I guess, So I ended up winning my age group, and I was like, oh, well, that's fun. This is kind of fun. And then I went to a trauma-informed swim class.
Trauma-informed?
Yeah. So my girlfriend suffered a drowning accident in an event. And that obviously led her to have some problems getting back into the water, but that's something that she wanted to do, to learn to swim again, be more comfortable. So they have these classes on Saturdays at a local high school.
Okay.
And so there, accompanying her, also just, gingerly learning about swim again. And, I could swim. Mm-hmm. Now I know that I couldn't really swim. I could just not drown and think I was swimming based on what I've learned.
Okay.
But so there was a guy there by the name of Norm Sievers, and Norm was he's probably 65 or 66. But I had heard he'd done an Ironman. And so an Ironman is a 2.4 mile swim, 112-mile bike ride, and a marathon, 26.2 miles.
Jeez Louise.
All back to back.
Right.
And honestly, I was like, well, if he could do it, I could do it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right,
That's basically what it came down to.
Okay.
So I learned a lot about him and his story, and I guess he's been doing this since the 80s. And there's shorter distance triathlons, sprints Olympics, and mid-distance ones, Ironman 70.3s. And really just being inspired by him, to be honest. I don't think there was a lot of black people in the sport. Still don't really see a lot of black people in the sport. And love the idea of the 3 different disciplines, learning more about each one. So it was all new, and that's definitely where I thrive in terms of attacking the learning curve and things. So I was like, okay, here's 3 different disciplines I can learn more about. It also gave a purpose to the workouts, right? Because outside of aesthetics and getting strong, I wasn't really like, I wasn't playing soccer. So why am I working out?
Right, you didn't have a goal to try to attain.
So now I have a reason to focus my workouts on these 3 different disciplines and make sure that my body is, able to perform well, given the various techniques over these long distances. So that just sounded like a great challenge and something I wanted to pursue.
Interesting. Now you said trying to master 3 disciplines. It's hard enough trying to get 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now trying to get 3.
Yep.
And then also you have to use all 3 in succession during the competition itself.
Correct.
So that sounds very intense.
Yeah.
And to be honest, when I see individuals performing the Ironman, you literally see the level of difficulty for these individuals while they're trying to perform. I can only imagine the amount of hours, the amount of training, the amount of planning, preparing, and all these different things for the sport itself. You have to be on level 10 in order to forget about everybody else, just to be able to progress yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said you played soccer and you were activities, so you just didn't start from square one into the marathon.
I played soccer, basketball, and lacrosse actually all throughout high school, and then soccer for 1 year in college.
Okay.
And just always stayed active. Always had a ton of energy. It's athleticism and athletics has always been a part of my life. So I definitely wasn't starting from square one. Definitely wasn't starting from square one. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Now, let me ask you a question. Now, you played different sports. None of them sound like they involved water, but when you started getting into the Ironman training, right? What was the mental shift that you had to make in order to kind of gear into it and get started?
The mental shift. So honestly, it really aligns with my kind of extreme personality.
Okay.
And I knew that swimming was going to be my weakness. And so that's what I went kind of all in trying to learn. Like I definitely did not want to feel uncomfortable in the water for that amount of time. It was definitely the most daunting, overwhelming concept to wrap my head around, swimming for that distance. And especially as I got into it. So I immediately got a swim coach, who I still have to this day. She's also done hundreds of triathlons and about 6 Ironmans as well.
Oh, so she's hardcore.
Yeah, hardcore. Former Navy pilot, right? So she would, not Air Force, but she would essentially jump out. She would do the rescues, like from the air.
Oh, you mean like Coast Guard? Kind of like that?
No, like she was in the Navy, but it was, like a helicopter. She was a pilot as well.
Okay.
And I just like paratrooper or some
Okay, gotcha.
sea air type combo.
Okay.
She was on the national swim team for Jamaica when she was younger.
Okay. Brethren.
Yeah, it's a lot of young people and just hardcore individual as well.
Okay.
And has a communication style that I appreciate. That's like motivating.
Okay.
And she knows her stuff. So we went out to what was it called? Olita State Park, and they have essentially a nice bay area there where it's essentially open water, but it's calm and it's a good place to practice. And I went out there with her, with Norm, and it's probably 220 yards across, and I was so out of breath. You know what I mean?
Did you make it?
I made it.
Okay.
Just out of sheer will.
Okay.
you know, and fear of embarrassment.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think about that to this day because, you know, not too long ago, 6 months ago, I swam 2.8 miles, right? So to go from 220 yards being fully exhausted to that was, you know, quite an accomplishment for me.
What time frame would you say it took you from that 220 yards? Which let me tell you, 25 yards for me is a lot. Okay.
Had to be a year.
Okay.
Had to be a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part about it?
A lot of it. So there's swimming in the pool. There's swimming in open water. Swimming in open water where you can't see the bottom. Swimming in open water with, you know, wildlife. You know, so there's all these things that you don't think about that add to what you have to think about in addition to your technique and form and and lung air breathing and all these other things. So that took me aback. And then there's swimming in the actual competition, which was a whole nother thing I had to overcome. My first triathlon was in Miami or Key Biscayne, and they had almost like 4 feet of like dead fish and algae. I don't know what it was that day. So we had to wade through that.
Oh, jeez.
Then you have hundreds of other people around you. And about 30 seconds in, the suit I had unzipped. So now I have like this huge weight.
Oh
like
my
God. In the water.
You're dragging it.
Then there was another guy, you know, who was basically, you know, drowning, calling out for help, you know, man. Like, so it's a scene. It's a chaotic scene. And I looked it up on YouTube, and it's like quite common. This panic, this like initial panic attack that happens in the water. So, but I knew it was about not feeling totally confident about the swim, being the first triathlon, and then just all of these new experiences all at once. So,
based upon what you're telling me, there's physical involved, but based upon what you're telling me, it sounds like there's a lot of mental.
Yeah.
I mean, especially on competition day, someone's drowning, you got to wade through a whole bunch of weeds and fish and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, and from the outside looking in, individuals who do triathlons, they're not regular people. You know? No. So there's that part too. But I mean, it sounds as if there's a lot to try to overcome to be able to function, just to do what seems like it would be normal for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's various levels to the challenge. One thing I like about the sport is that you're in competition with yourself. You know, like you get ranked in times, but I like the aspect that I can train alone. You know, it's like an individual sport, and you're always trying to best yourself. And like you were saying before, I think that kind of translates to a lot of other aspects and areas of your life. For sure.
So, I mean, wow. To be honest, you know, when it comes to the swimming, I'm not a good swimmer anyway. I splash around, okay? And believe it or not, it's something that I've been trying to improve upon on myself. So in the summertime, I try to get in the water. And one thing I want to be able to do is to be able to tread water. Never been able to do it. I sink like a rock. Okay.
I'm also heavy in that respect too.
I don't know if I'm bottom heavy or something. I don't know.
Or whatever they call it.
Yeah, maybe I'm too dense.
Yeah.
But it is a goal that I've been trying to accomplish and have not been accomplishing very well. But I've been trying to swim, and I just love the way I feel after I get out of the water. I don't love being in it at all.
Yeah.
You know? But again, you know, back to what you were saying in terms of you're competing with yourself. You're trying to improve yourself. I've heard the saying that you are your greatest critique, you are also your biggest enemy, and overcoming that is what real success is. You know? And it sounds like you're very self-motivated.
Very self-motivated. The critique part is something that I've had to take the pedal off the gas.
So you're overcritical of yourself?
Very, very critical of myself. You know, when I first started training, it was whatever my coach told me to do that week, I did it to the detriment of my body, right?
So you went too hard.
I went too hard, too fast, too long, tried to do extra stuff, wasn't fueling properly. I was only focusing on the workouts itself and not so much kind of that ecosystem that you need to have in terms of food, in terms of sleep, wasn't sleeping. So
I want to touch on those two aspects.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about food, sleep, understanding of how to be able to accomplish those goals.
Yep.
But also, being able to get the information so you don't have to learn everything by yourself. So you can kind of catapult your progress.
Yep.
Tell me, and you did have a coach.
Yes.
But in terms of the community, how good is the triathlon community in terms of being able to educate individuals, keep them aware of the pitfalls, and allow them to progress? Because everybody's really trying to master themselves and progress themselves, but
yeah, I think everybody's different. Everybody comes from different lifestyles, different, obviously there's a level of discipline, but whether that extends to food, I think differentiates triathletes between kind of like those that are, trying to reach podium, and those that are just doing it for sport or more casually.
Mm-hmm.
It's necessary just because each workout you're burning 2,000 to 3,000 calories. So how you replace that and the efficiency with which you replace those calories is key to future performance. So there's Facebook groups, there's a lot of triathletes who offer tips, suggestions. I think everybody's different. I don't know if there's a lot of plant-based triathletes, so I don't really pay attention too much because their diets often don't align with mine.
Oh, okay. So that's a very important point that you're bringing up across. You're vegan, is that correct?
That is, yeah.
Okay. So now you have a certain lifestyle, and you also have a certain approach towards your energy, your nutrient consumption. All right. Now, as you were before, you're spending 2,000 plus calories per workout. What adjustment did you have to make to be able to do that?
Yeah, I had to, in general, eat more, which isn't a problem for me. I had to substitute a lot of like unhealthy, processed, plant-based foods or vegan foods.
You were eating trashy vegan food before?
Not trashy, but it wasn't, we'll say 70-30. Now I'm like 90-10. Okay. You know what I mean? Okay. So it was never, and that's been a gradual transition from when I first started being vegan to now as well.
Now, when you say 70-30 and 90-10, so the larger portion, so when you say 90-10,
90% whole foods, fresh, not processed fruits and veggies, essentially.
Okay. So it's almost like you grabbed it from the tree or ripped it from the ground.
Exactly. When I can.
Right.
And then 10%, processed, we'll say.
Okay.
And that varies week to week, but that's kind of ideally like where I need to function, where I feel the best. It's interesting because a lot of the diet recommendations are fruits and vegetables from people that aren't vegan that also perform triathlons, but their protein sources are different.
What is your protein source?
My protein source is, I use Sun Warrior Active Protein Blend, which I think is great because it has a lot of the essential aminos and probiotics as well, which helps with gut health.
Okay.
So, and they taste great. It doesn't like overpower whatever smoothie you're going to put it in, which is what I often put them in.
Okay, all right.
And I use tempeh, tofu, seitan, and chickpeas. Everything has various forms of the amino acids that build proteins. So, but those are the main sources.
Now, from what I understand, a lot of individuals have difficulty in terms of their B12, like that vitamin with the energy source. All right. So how do you supplement that, considering you're spending a tremendous amount of calories on a regular basis?
Take a daily vitamin that has the recommended doses for that, and additional B12 drops.
Okay. So everything. So you haven't seen any deficits. You haven't seen any. You haven't felt like something's missing and you're lagging in terms of your training. And if you did, you made the adjustment early on.
Yeah, I did early on when that stage I was telling you about. Like, I was not focused on supplements as much. I didn't have, I think, a really complete, clean protein like I do now with Sun Warrior.
Okay.
I just had to make those adjustments. There's constant adjustments, which is There's constant adjustments in your training. There's constant adjustments in your technique. There's constant adjustments in your diet, habits, sleep patterns, life. So
all right. So how long have you been vegan?
I was thinking about that before this. I want to say 8.5 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was your transition? What caused you to transition?
Honestly, I was living in Pittsburgh at the time, and I ran across this guy named, I call him Hawaiian Ryan. And Hawaiian Ryan was in his 70s, and he was actually in Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh has a great medical facility for whatever was ailing his daughter. And his daughter was actually a pro surfer who was in a surfing accident. And she had hit her head, and she had this neurological condition which couldn't be solved. And her body was essentially shutting down slowly. And Ryan was there as her caretaker, but you wouldn't know that if you met him, right? He had such a positive light, right? And that aspect of his life is what kind of led me to listen to him, because some people, like, you know, they preach about their spiritual continence, but they don't really demonstrate it. And so I saw that in him. And so we get to talking, and he practiced something called Surat Shabd Yoga, which was some Eastern philosophy. And as a part of that, he was explaining that in order to reach higher stages of enlightenment, you don't ingest animals, because you end up ingesting their karma, and it kind of like weighs you down, which made a lot of sense to me at the time. And so that got me interested. And then he started explaining some of the health aspects of it, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll give it a try. And it was like a confidence loop. You know, the more I cut out meat, the more I ate, the better I ate, the better I felt. So I just continued to do it.
So you felt unhealthy prior?
Did I feel unhealthy prior? I think you just feel young and invincible. Not necessarily unhealthy or healthy, but there's nothing telling me that anything's going on wrong, right? So
it sounds like you were really...
I'm always focused on trying to better myself, right? So this looked like a better way of eating.
Gotcha.
That I pursued, right?
Just a better way of being in general.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're covering the diet. Do you have like a dietitian or nutritionist that help you kind of help you to be able to perform? Because I know when you're putting out major calories like that, 100-mile bike ride, all right, you have to consume during that. So my question is, do you have someone who trains you on how to prepare to be able to complete an entire...
Yeah, well, I'm lucky in that my girlfriend's a holistic health consultant and nutritionist.
Very fortunate.
So yes, I always have expert advice when it comes to that. It's definitely something that is key to my success and how I perform, for sure. Her advice is more just whether or not I was doing triathlons or not, she would have similar advice, but it's been altered to make sure that I'm getting enough calories and the right type of calories.
So it sounds like you have a really good supporting cast.
Yeah.
Because you've got an in-home dietitian, a nutritionist, right?
That's it.
You've got a coach.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Yep.
And
you.
Well, you know, I try my best. You know.
Yep.
But no. So that goes along with just about anything and everything. You know. I like to say, like, no man is an island.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
And the community, when we build and surround ourselves with a good community, we can both progress as an individual, but as a group as well.
Yep.
You know, so yep. I really love that for you. You know, in terms of your progress. Now, sleep. Tell me about the sleep and how that.
Oh man, I just got that together.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, in the past couple months, say 4 months or so, I've been averaging like 7.5 or 8 hours of sleep.
I'm so envious, man.
And it feels good. I'm not gonna lie. It's a lot of sacrifice, but that's really helped me. And what started that is when I got injured in April. So about 4 months. Yeah, I had to sit down.
Tell me about this injury.
I got hit by a car on my bike. Normal bike route, normal day.
So you were training?
I was training, training for a race. Full Ironman coming up in November, which I will not be able to do, which I had to delay because of the injuries. But I dislocated my shoulder. Thankfully that was the only thing that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, I had a lot of time to sleep and sit down, and it kind of recalibrated my system.
So would you say initially the injury seemed as if it was a huge pitfall, but you got something positive out of that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm very pragmatic. I realized for me, it was just like, okay, how long before I can swim again? How long before I return to 100% strength? And it didn't really deter me. It was just like a setback.
All right.
I definitely approached it. I wasn't like, woe is me or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So because of the injury, now dislocated shoulder, swimming being the most difficult of the three tasks. All right. What was the frame of mind in terms of what I'm going through? And I said it wasn't a woe was me, but I mean, how do you? That's a deep hole. How do you climb out of that? Like, how do you prepare to climb out of that deep hole?
I just, I was better at just being patient about it at this stage in my life than I would have been earlier. And I just realized that it's just going to take time. Like, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, right? It helps that I've dislocated my shoulder a bunch of times, and I've obviously come back.
Okay.
I've come back to this point.
Okay.
So it wasn't like a new injury that I didn't have an understanding of what was on the horizon.
Gotcha.
So that definitely helped. It was just like, oh, here we go again.
Gotcha. That's one thing I notice with athletes.
Mm-hmm.
My experience working with athletes for over the past 20 years, and so individuals who their identity is what they do, and they're no longer able to do it for whatever reason, whether it's they're aging out, they're not performing as well, or injury, there is a huge, depression. There's a huge struggle with identity at that point.
I can't say that. I was a little bit depressed, but I think it was literally from the lack of dopamine.
Okay.
Like,
so you get high off your exercise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I'm not. I don't equivocate about that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So would you also say that your spiritual practices and affected your approach to the injury or recovery from the injury?
Yeah. Everything happens for a reason. Yeah.
I like that.
Everything happens for a reason. I'm alive.
Oh, true. Yeah. You're absolutely
Could have been
right.
a lot worse. This is one of the worst states for bike accidents, bike deaths. I'm in another group, like another Black wellness fitness group or something like that, and somebody posted about someone like myself, lifelong cyclist that got hit and died.
Oh, geez.
So, I work very hard every day to appreciate and be grateful.
For sure.
In general. So I just carried that through after the accident, for sure.
Wow. So now you were actually training for your competition in November.
Mm-hmm.
How far do you believe you were set back from that injury? I mean, obviously you won't be able to perform in November, but how far a setback do you feel? I mean,
well, the 6 months. I'll say 6 months. It was 3 months just to get to the point to swim again. Probably another 3 months. I'm still discovering that though, because a lot was lost during conditioning. Lung capacity and endurance. I lost a lot of running conditioning, and I lost a lot of conditioning from transitions. So going from off the bike right to the run, I've noticed my heart's working a lot harder to do those transitions now.
Really? Like switching that gear?
Switching that gear has really suffered. And remains to be seen. I'll be doing the full this coming November of 2025 instead of November of 2024.
Okay.
And I'm okay because I like doing this every day anyway, and it's just, so it just means I have more time to train.
Okay.
And so I have better goals now for timing in terms of when I want to finish.
Okay. So I find that interesting portion as well, transitioning from the different activity, from the swimming to the running.
Yep.
Biking is it's transition.
Swim, bike, run.
Okay. All right. Now, what is that like for an individual who only does one thing? You know, what is that like? If you can explain that a little bit.
And the other aspect of the sport I like is the mental aspect. Like you can't exhaust yourself on the swim because then you don't have anything in the tank for the bike. You can't exhaust yourself on the bike because you don't have anything in the tank for the run. So it's all about modulating and keeping your body in a state where it can continue for the entire race. A lot of it's, you have mental will, right? You realize that, the swim, that was great. Now you have more to do. And you just do it. I don't know how to explain if that doesn't come naturally.
So like the will and the transition. So pretty much when you're going from you're going from the water to the bike, what is it that you feel, or what is it that you're trying to get away from in terms of, I don't know, performance when you change activity?
Trying to get away from. Well, I was thinking about this. I enjoy it. I don't know if anybody would do it if they didn't enjoy it. So I'm not suffering through anything when I'm doing this.
Okay.
Maybe I think others, and from what I see on the course, are like they have to force themselves through it. Like it's more, I don't know. It just doesn't seem as pleasant.
Okay.
It is physically strenuous. It's draining, but you don't have to be there, right? So that's what I keep telling myself.
Okay.
And when you're coming out of the water, you're a bit heavy.
Mm-hmm.
You're a bit heavy.
What would you attribute that to?
It's a full body workout. It's a full body workout. And depending on your level of swimming, you may not be getting the air that you need.
Okay.
And so I think you're a little bit tired, and you don't have your legs. So you got to kind of get your legs under you. There's a short sprint to where they keep the bikes, and then part of the mental transition is putting on all your equipment for the bike. So now you're putting on your shoes, and you're putting on your helmet, and then you run out there with the bike by your side, and your legs are a little bit heavy still because you haven't used them for an hour or 40 minutes.
Right. So you're swimming for 40 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
Hopefully, that's what I want to swim.
Okay.
That's my goal. And then, which are all like average times, by the way. So I'm not, but and yeah. And then once you get on the bike, I love the bike. That's probably my strongest discipline right now. And the bike is can be meditative.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. You just go.
I want to touch on the transition portion, and from a different aspect. So an individual, you're coming back from an injury. Individuals who have injuries, it's a multitude of injuries. Individuals, I've seen individuals have to deal with foot problems, plantar fasciitis, and things of that nature. But anyway, what advice would you have for individuals when there's an injury that doesn't allow them to perform fully, functionally, but they're still trying to maintain that cardiovascular capacity, that lung capacity, and so on and so forth?
So part of the reason why I think my bike is where it's at now is because I lived on the indoor bike during my injury.
Okay.
When I couldn't swim and when I couldn't run just because of the jostling of the joint, I had the sling, and I could still do my bike workouts.
Okay. So you still made the best of the situation.
Made the best of the situation.
Okay.
I did my bike workouts. I did a lot of lower body weight exercises. I focused on strengthening my ankle strength and flexibility. So I just did whatever I could that I knew would contribute to the overall performance outside of re-injuring the shoulder.
Gotcha. Interesting.
So find something else to do.
Okay. To keep it simple.
Yeah.
Do something. Don't do nothing.
Do something else. There's always something you can work on.
Okay. Yep. I like that. That's a valuable lesson, people. There's always something you can work on. Okay. So what are your goals now?
Oh man, now my goals are really related to flexibility.
Okay.
I think I'm always inspired with what I can see other people do.
Okay. All right.
So I think now that I've rehabbed my shoulder to the point where now I need to rehab my right shoulder because it's weaker than my left, there's a level of flexibility that I want to accomplish relative to my shoulder joint.
Okay.
Which I know will help with swimming in general.
Okay.
Flexibility.
Okay.
Hips, hamstrings, just unlocking new levels of flexibility. I guess.
Now, how are you going about doing that?
Listening to you, man.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
It just fascinates me how it's a combination of like muscle strength, which I wouldn't beforehand normally associate with the ability for that muscle to relax in a fully extended or more extended position. So I just go through a series of strength training and flexibility balance exercises routine, very routine.
Okay.
And do it pretty much daily before and after workouts, regardless of whatever I'm training, whatever discipline I'm training that day.
So your physical wellness is a lifestyle.
Yeah, that's all. It's pretty much.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle. What you practice is what you're going to get out.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
So individuals who are encouraged, for their own benefit, you also have to kind of absorb the fact that you are the ones who have to actually do the work in order to get the desired results. So all right. So
and the thing I can't think of. For me, I'm hard pressed to find a better use of time. If somebody can tell me something I should be doing with my time more than that, I haven't found that yet.
Okay.
So that's why I spend my time doing that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right, no problem. So all right. So with that being said, like any vices?
Oh man, I watch probably too many movies.
So that's a
vice.
Your downtime.
For sure.
Okay.
That's my main one.
Okay.
That's my vice right now.
All righty.
I cut out everything else pretty much.
The one of the biggest things I took away from this conversation is the community that you built, and I've been attempting to be a better swimmer, as well as eating better. You know what I mean? So how would you encourage, or if you don't mind sharing the information in terms of individuals, if they want to be a better swimmer or whatever have you, how do you?
Everybody has different levels of resources, and time being one of those resources. I'm really fortunate I have a lot of time to dedicate and spend, and resources to spend to create this community, right?
Gotcha.
For me, it's like you have to find somebody who's done it, and you have to find somebody who's done it well, and listen to them, and actually put it into practice. Be patient. That is really the key. I'm in a triathlete club. A lot of them have done way more competitions. A lot of them are faster, and they're willing to share what has worked for them. So it's also having a proper screening in terms of what's worked for them, what's different about you, and just gleaning from their advice what you can and what's practical for you. But at the end of the day, you have to listen to the experts. You have to find somebody who's done it.
Okay.
Because that's the only thing separating them from you.
So you're trying to stand on the shoulder of giants, pretty much.
Pretty much. I mean, I don't know a faster way.
No, that which is smart. So I love that. Learn from other people's mistakes.
Yes.
Learn from other people's accomplishments as well.
Yep.
So it sounds as if your approach to life, is balance and progression, as well as the wisdom that comes along with it. I mean, it seems like you got to be thinking.
My whole has been trial by fire. I'm not. That's it. That's just how I'm curious about something, I'm going to find out about it, and if it's something I want to do, I'm going to do it.
Okay.
And I'm not going to die. So the only thing that can happen is I'll learn from it, right?
Okay.
So
Right.
I mean, that's the worst case scenario is I learned something.
I love that thought process, man. It's very simple. Some
It
people just stress out about things too much.
Yeah.
And overthinking something was just going to paralyze you at the same time.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
So, just do it. That's what Nike says, right?
That is. Yep.
I'm sorry. So, in reference to everything, did we go over your goals? Like what goals you want to?
Oh, so I'm gonna be doing the full Ironman in November.
Okay.
And my goal is to do it in less than 12 hours.
Okay. Woo! 12 hours.
Which is like, okay.
Continuous activity for 12 hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's my goal.
Okay. Wow. What pet peeves? What are pet peeves of yours? I for some reason
Pet peeves in general?
In general, in terms of we're talking about the Ironman preparation or whatever. What pet peeves do you have in reference to people, situations?
I don't know, man. That's a good one. I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
No, you just go.
But
you just focused on you.
Yeah, I mean, that's a blessing and a curse. I'm kind of selfish. It doesn't bother me because I don't know. They're not entering I don't have any pet peeves. As it relates to this sport, I'm trying to think. I have to think hard.
No worries, man. No worries.
It's a community of type A personalities.
Okay.
And so I remember I ran this race and I posted a picture coming through the chute, but it was hot, so I had taken the top of my triathlon thing off, right? So when you post that in this group, you get all these comments like, oh, didn't they disqualify you? Like, you can't have your shirt on when you finish, and different races have different rules.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny to me, like, that is what they would focus on, right? Like,
as opposed to the actual.
Didn't they disqualify you? Wouldn't be my first thought or comment. So it's just
the negativity,
right? But that's anywhere in the industry. But I mean, I don't know. That's a good question. I got to think about that. I think it's a good thing. Nothing comes to mind.
So you just let the stuff just roll off your back, man.
I think so. For better or worse.
No,
I got blinders on.
No, I think that's for more better if you ask me. That's for more better.
What is a pet peeve? I don't know, man.
Well, so here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
If individuals want to get in contact with you,
mm-hmm.
They just want to kind of lift your experience because you're on social media and so
Yeah.
on, right? And, you're one of the few brothers who perform that. If they want to watch to see what you're doing, they want to come to you for advice, how would they get in contact with you?
Sure. You can follow me at I Love Thick Vegans, ilovethickvegans.com, and at June Akil. And I'm actually going to be starting to do online personal training. So if that's something you're interested in, please reach out.
Awesome. So I Love Thick Vegans. I like the name. I like the name.
Yep.
I Love Thick Vegans. So please, I'm really happy and fortunate that anybody who's taken the time to consume this great conversation. Please reach out to Ahmed if you have any questions, for feedback or anything like that. We love it. Mm-hmm. And so, just share, respond, engage, and watch out for his progression and everything that he's going to do in terms of, the Ironman and things of that nature. I've been keeping track, and I'd love to see his progress over the past few years. So again, sir, I'm really fortunate and blessed to have the opportunity to be able to speak with you,
yep.
and for you to share not only with me but everybody else.
Yep.
And again, just thanks again.
All right.
I appreciate you, man.
All right.
Thanks again. Come on out. Huh?
Thanks for having me.
No, man. I'm at any time. I hope we're able to speak with him once more again. And everybody, check him out. I want to see him out there doing his thing, big time. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much it. You guys have a great one. My days are great. I hope your day is great too. And just like I learned from Ahmed, just let the negativity just roll off your back, man. You guys have a good one. Take it easy.